Good evening, Internet, and you are watching the NonPro TV Party Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. recap show. I'm your host, Frank, joined not at all in studio by Matt. How you doing, Matt?
Hello.
Woo! On NonPro's TV Party, we do a live Google Plus Hangout series where we geek out about our favorite television and enjoy you to join along. It's freezing. It is absolutely freezing. On NonPro's TV Party, we don't just talk about TV, we obsess over it. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Agent Carter, which is still going strong. A few more episodes left before that season, this sort of...
Series?
Yes. Series? Yeah?
Series,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Event?
Yeah.
Television event?
This television event, it comes to an end. In A Sin to Air, Carter and her team must uncover the truth behind the Leviathan program before its agents get to them first. So I'm pretty excited about this particular episode for weird reasons, which I think we should just go right into. How about that, Matt?
Sounds good. Let's go right in.
All right. So on the surface, this episode is pretty straightforward. Peggy and her crew have basically uncovered the fact that there is an organization called Leviathan that exists. I don't even know if we've specifically, mentioned Soviets. I know we've mentioned Russia. They've been in Russia, but I don't know how much the fact that it's the Soviet Union gets called up. But it's basically the Soviets' answer to S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, and that this organization was either with Stark's assistance or against his will stole maybe some information that would produce a gigantic dangerous device of some sort, and in fact possibly not even a device. At this point we're pretty sure that the thing that Leviathan is looking for is Steve Rogers' blood. So big deal. It's a pretty straightforward episode. In this episode, Peggy and Jarvis go basically door to door looking for women that Howard may have run afoul with, who could be enemy agents. There's also, a couple of cool fight sequences we'll get to in a bit, and basically we see what Leviathan is doing to try to cover their tracks. And I guess I've said a couple of times, it's straightforward, but what's cool about it is, in my opinion at least, is how much this Marvel franchise, a Marvel Cinematic Universe, is building off of a secondary character, even though one of the main characters in the Avengers movie, namely Black Widow. I'm really excited about that. Matt.
Yes.
Do you remember where Black Widow got her start in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I believe her first start was in Iron Man 2.
I think it was.
Where she first showed up as quote-unquote Tony Stark's new secretary once Pepper left. And or actually no, I'm sorry, I got that all mixed up. She was Pepper's new secretary once Tony handed over Stark Enterprises to Pepper to run while he was off doing Iron Man stuff.
That's right. Right. And like playing with the demon in the bottle kind of
playing with the demon in the bottle storyline.
Yeah.
And, that was her first start and I think he found out it was like S.H.I.E.L.D. has been watching Stark Enterprises or had an eye on them, which is why they sent Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. I think it's cool that Black Widow. All right, so we're gonna keep going back and forth from Iron Man and Black Widow. I don't believe Black Widow shows up in any other Marvel movie until the Avengers. I think she's only in Iron Man 2.
That's right.
And then she's in the Avengers, and she's also in which came after Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Right.
I believe those are the 3 movies she's in.
Yes.
So, and I think in her first movie, in Iron Man 2, she is a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, a S.H.I.E.L.D. operative. We know, they gave her name, obviously, Natasha, but they may have mentioned the fact that she was a former Russian spy, but certainly nothing about the Black Widow project. I don't know if they referred to her as Black Widow. I can't remember Iron Man 2 that well.
I don't believe so. And actually, I don't believe they mentioned her past as a Russian agent until Avengers. I'm pretty sure none of that was brought up in Iron Man 2.
Okay, cool. So you get a character who is one of the members of the Avengers in this cinematic universe who has not had her own movie yet, has not led a project yet, and has pretty much had a cameo role, I would say a starring role in Avengers. I think it's pretty fair to say that she was.
Yeah,
one of
she
the
is a
main
pretty major
characters.
character.
I mean, it's an ensemble cast, so
Yeah.
there was a lot of stars. And then she had a decent role in
I
Winter
think
Soldier.
she was probably the second most important character after Cap.
Yeah,
Well,
certainly.
actually, not including Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and I don't even know if he was really important as much as it was different. It was a foil. Yeah, she
the
had
foil,
a big.
but she had a pretty big role as kind of like her, like the contrast between her and Captain.
Right.
Like that relationship, how their different views.
And I think basically she was kind of a badass in Iron Man 2, just this cool, sexy badass in Iron Man 2. Got some character development in the Avengers and got a lot more character development in Winter Soldier. But as far as the selling point of the entire franchise idea, the fact that Marvel is creating an interdependent universe, the selling point of that, I think, is the fact that there's a lot of backstory there. There's a lot of ways everything kind of fits together, and really Black Widow, and I would also say Hawkeye and a few other characters, don't. They just absolutely do not. They could be interchangeable with almost any other character.
Yeah.
What I love that what they're doing with, and the whole point of, I think, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, is another avenue for Marvel/Disney to kind of flush out some of these characters that they have and flush out the universe and kind of do like guest spots and walk-on roles and nice little things here and there that kind of help develop the universe with cool characters and interesting storylines and nice special effects. The interesting thing about what they're doing with Agent Carter, which is a mini-series within their TV series, which is a way of promoting their movie franchise, or even movie series if you want to keep using that series beat, you want to keep hitting that, is that the mini-series within the TV series within the movie series is tying things back into the movie series in two pretty interesting ways. The main character, or three actually. So who are the main characters in Agent Carter? We got Peggy, right?
Peggy.
Who's the guy who's moving everything? It would be I keep wanting to say Tony, but it's Howard.
Howard, yeah.
Right, Howard
And
Stark.
Jarvis, really.
Jarvis, sure. And that's maybe a looser, but so we got Jarvis and Howard, who are definitely Iron Man characters.
Right.
We got Peggy, who's a Captain America character. The entire MacGuffin that they're chasing is probably just, it could be arc reactor related, but I'm almost positive it's going to be, it's the point was that it was Steve Rogers' blood.
Yeah.
And in fact, Steve Rogers' backstory has a lot of Iron Man worked into it as well. But chiefly, you've got Iron Man characters, you got Captain American, I'm talking about franchise. Iron Man franchise characters, Captain American franchise characters. And what they did in a genius way, especially with this episode, even though we had a lot of the Red Room in the last episode, is what basically Howard's womanizing, which is really just like a baby version of Tony's womanizing. We just assume Howard is a womanizer because, well, all the Iron Man family characters have
It runs in the family.
Yeah, it's some sort of thing. His womanizing or his weakness for the opposite sex. These all feel like really bad things to say, and it's amazing that Agent Carter is a series where you could play with it. So you got a female-led series dealing with a character that is from the Iron Man franchise. It definitely has some, problematic aspects to him. And his weakness for the fairer sex means he's highly susceptible to a spy being like a sexy female spy, which of course is why we've got the Black Widows involved, which arguably may even be why Black Widow, or the original Black Widow, Natasha, in Iron Man 2 was sent in, because she would be able to infiltrate and keep an eye on Tony even better than anybody else. And all those things, it's just basically they're playing with all these little tropes and these little character aspects, and while they're doing it, they're building out their universe. I think that's amazing, and I think it's really good writing that they can do that. They could have just pulled in any character, any franchise, anything. And in fact, fans tend to say, "Well, why don't you do this, or why don't you introduce this character? Why don't we see more villains?" But the fact that they're cherry picking them and mixing in things that allow them to just sort of build off character stories, I think it's great. That's my big takeaway from this episode. Am I full of it, or does this make sense?
No, this makes sense. I kind of agree with you. Like I always feel that like the Agents of Shield and Agent Carter are good avenues to help develop the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I feel like they've been doing really well with it in Agent of Shield, and I like what they're doing in Agent Carter, continuing that kind of trend of fleshing out their universe. And it's really neat to see all like the different connections between the TV series and the movies, and like how like you could look between the two. It's like okay, I could connect the dots between these two events, and I can see how they're related. It's neat. I like it. It's really cool, and I feel like this is a sort of a kind of new thing that's going on with media, which I feel like Marvel Disney is at the forefront, which more power to them.
Yeah, I guess if you're an old-time comic book fan, if you've read most of these backstories and you know where these characters come from, try for a minute to like step out of that and get into it. Like, how would you explain all of Black Widow's backstory without, in a way that was more graceful than what they're doing with these TV series? It would be very difficult because, I mean, you could absolutely just do a movie based on it, and you'd have another origin movie, and you could definitely explain her in her own bubble, but how it interacts with all the other little bubbles and universes that exists is complicated unless you have the avenue of working them into everybody else's storyline the way they're doing here. It's natural. You understand the idea of, oh, okay, there's this league of spies that are basically being built to steal bomb secrets or whatever from the Americans. I kind of get that. It's enough of the bullets where it's a quick, easy way to get people caught up, and also gives you some interesting characters. Mm-hmm. So this episode wasn't all just in fact, arguably I don't think they've yet to say Black Widow. Again, really afraid of saying code names in Marvel. But there were a lot of cool things in this episode aside from that. I had a particular warm place in my heart for the door-to-door sequence where we just get a bunch of slaps to Jarvis's face. I thought that was fun. Nothing other than that. It was just fun. Did you have a particular scene that you really liked, Matt?
My particular scene that I really enjoyed was actually the diner fight later in the episode, where Carter and Jarvis are in the not the diner, but whatever you call it. What do they call it?
Was it a lunchomat? Well, no, that's not. I'm almost on it.
Yeah, something like that. Automat. That's right, automat.
Lunchomat.
And that really scene was also really cool choreography. Got to see Peggy kick a lot of ass. But also, like, my really favorite bit was how much it very much paralleled the elevator fight from Winter Soldier.
Right.
When the Shield agents tried to take down Captain America, they had the SSR agents in this episode try to take down Carter. So I thought that was a kind of a neat way to parallel how Peggy and Steve are very much similar, or the same kind of person. They're both the hero, willing to do whatever it takes, willing to go against anyone, even their own allies, for justice.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if this was. I just had actually another thought, like a couple after I mentioned this off show. But another parallel I realized was, I don't know if this is intentional, but this also reminded me of kind of like the whole entire diner scene in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. with Ward and Skye.
All right, yeah.
I doubt that was intentional, but that was like the same entire setup where Ward notices the cops shuffling all the civilians away, just like Peggy noticed the SSR agents shuffling the civilians away. So, I mean, if we find out there's some kind of connection between the Ward family and the Carters, that's gonna blow my mind. Also, I'm gonna call it because I called it out now.
Yeah, might as well just call it. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I did like that fight sequence. It was really good. I also just to throw one last thing out. We're running out of time.
Yes.
But Doctor, I'm going to pronounce this poorly, but Ivanchenko. It's not right. Ivachenko. I think it's close.
Close
there
enough.
You go. The psychiatrist who basically spends this episode hypnotizing people and basically just I like as it was happening, I was that scene with the sniper with Dottie as a sniper gonna take out the doctor, or it seems like she was gonna take out the doctor before he gives away all the secrets. I'm like the whole time I'm like, oh crap, this is gonna happen, it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, and then when he turns out he's just tapping out the sequence as a little like it was a great misdirection. So they did a wonderful job, and he's a pretty sinister-looking guy. I actually thought maybe he's a known villain, but I wasn't able to uncover anything about him.
I think one person that they might have, one person mentioned Dr. Faustus as a possible guy he might be, but that was just an offhand guess. So I wouldn't put any weight. I wouldn't put any weight behind that guess.
They do a very good job for the most part of concealing who these characters are, without making it feel like it's stupid or without arbitrarily just changing their names. That's one of the benefits of having a bunch of spies in the story. But I will say that I did look up the doctor's name on Google. I just did a simple run-of-the-mill Google search, Dr. Ivachenko, and there are about the first about the first page worth of, no, it's almost the first page. There's one last link on that page. The first page of Google results for this person is a OBGYN from Arizona, who I do not believe is in on this. I don't think this is some sort of viral thing, although it would be awesome if they did like a page for him on healthgrades.com. But yeah, so apparently they did not do a good job of researching this name before they picked it, because he's the only other. If there was like 10 Dr. Ivachenkos, then I'd be like, all right, it is no problem. But there's only one guy, and it's him. That's unfortunate. Yeah. So there you go. Probably not your OBGYN. If you're listening in Arizona, don't worry about it. I'm sure you're okay. But yeah, I'm excited for this next episode. We only have a few left. I think we only have like 2 or 3 left.
2. I think might be down to 2.
Oh, that's awful. All right. I am excited though. We're going to get Shield back in a few days, a few weeks, I should say. All right, cool, very good. If you would like to find out more about our next Hangout, or if you'd like to comment or yell at us for not knowing who this doctor is, why don't you leave a comment on this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/nonproductive. Probably related to the video you were watching, unless somebody's ripping us off, like downloading them and re-uploading them. Why? All right, guys, enjoy your night, and we will see you next week for another episode of NonPro presents Agent Carter's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Review Show mini-series movie special events. Goodbye!
Bye.
The shows are going to get shorter, but the titles will get longer. That's right.